I used to think that stability was the backbone of a good marriage. We weren't flashy, my wife and I, just a pair of normal people who liked our routines. Morning coffee, shared glances over crossword puzzles, reruns of old sitcoms at night. That sort of thing. I worked in IT at a local school district, and Becca, my wife, had been doing freelance design work before taking a temp job at the county tax office last year. A position that was only supposed to last through the end of April. April came and went. And Becca stayed. At first, it made sense, budget extensions, someone had quit, you know how government work goes. But a few months in, I started noticing changes. She was different. And not in the way people grow over time. No, this was like she'd cracked open a window into another world and left me outside shivering. Her routines shifted. Makeup became a daily ritual again. Clothes that hadn't seen daylight in years made appearances in her wardrobe rotation. There were late nights catching up on audits, and once, a perfume I hadn't smelled in years lingered faintly on her coat. I brushed these things off as paranoia. Marriage wasn't about always being certain, it was about trust, right? I wanted to believe that. I really did. Things between us weren't bad. But they weren't alive either. Conversations that once meandered comfortably over dinner now sputtered out in minutes. Intimacy? Let's just say I could count the number of nights we'd shared a bed in the past month on one hand and still have fingers left over. The final push came one Wednesday morning, when she got a text while we were both in the kitchen. I was slicing a banana for my cereal when her phone buzzed. Meeting's running early, don't forget the brown binder. Bring coffee too, you owe me, winky face. The winking emoji stung more than it should have. It was signed, Cal. I had never heard of a Cal before. I tried to play it cool. Who's Cal? I asked, nodding at her phone as casually as I could. She looked up like a deer caught in headlights, then quickly recovered. Oh. Just one of the accountants. He's annoying. Always joking around. I said, offering her a tight smile. Seems friendly. She nodded, grabbing her travel mug and sliding her phone into her purse like she was stuffing away a secret. After that morning, the little signs began adding up like ledger entries that didn't quite balance. I started noticing she'd bring home paperwork that wasn't even part of her job description. She'd laugh at jokes from her phone while scrolling and then frown when she realized I was watching her. I tried not to snoop. I swear I did. But curiosity doesn't fade. It festers. One night when she was in the shower, I sat on the edge of our bed with her purse in my lap. Her phone wasn't locked, it never had been. Maybe because she never thought I'd look. Or maybe because she wanted to be caught. The messages between her and Cal weren't explicit, but they didn't need to be. I read just enough to know that they had shared more than just audit reports. One message from the week before read. Next time I won't let you leave with your lipstick still on. Might as well wear a sign that says I had lunch on Cal, winky face. I didn't get angry. Not right away. I felt numb, like my insides were encased in concrete. I put her phone back exactly where I found it, brushed my teeth, and climbed into bed. She came out of the bathroom, towel-dried hair curling at the ends, and asked if I wanted to watch something. I said I was tired. She curled up next to me like everything was fine, like nothing had cracked open beneath our lives. For the next few days, I watched her. Observed the little lies in her expression, the soft hum she made when she was texting him, the way she started locking the bathroom door when she showered. I said nothing. Instead, I made an appointment. With the county office. Hi, I need to resolve a discrepancy in my property taxes, I lied on the phone. Would it be possible to meet with an accountant? Someone named Cal? The woman paused. Oh, you must mean Calvin Moore. Sure, I can set up a time. When I walked into the office 2 days later, I wore a button-down and a forced smile. The receptionist guided me down a hallway where an open door waited at the end. Calvin Moore stood to greet me, a well-groomed man in his late 30s with a charming smile and a firm handshake. He didn't recognize me, of course. But I knew him. I sat across from him, pretended to explain a made-up issue with assessments, while my mind played back every late night, every audit that had taken Becca away from me. His laugh was smooth, his voice pleasant. I hated him for it. By the time I left that office, the cement in my chest had cracked into fire. She came home that night like nothing had changed. And maybe it hadn't for her. But for me? Everything was different. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, listening to Becca's soft breathing beside me. I kept wondering how long she'd been living this double life, how many nights I lay beside a body that had just been in someone else's arms. That fire I felt in the tax office had cooled into something sharper, something cold and deliberate. The next morning, I left for work early. But I didn't go to work. Instead, I met with a lawyer. I didn't want revenge. I wanted clarity. Closure. If our marriage was already crumbling, I wasn't going to be the fool clinging to rubble. I handed over the phone records I had downloaded, screen captures of the messages, and even a few voice recordings of late-night conversations she'd had on speakerphone while assuming I was asleep. The lawyer was direct. "You've got enough for a clean case," she said. "Infidelity, deception, emotional distress, you're on solid ground." That night, I pretended everything was fine. We ate spaghetti on the couch, half-watched a cooking show. She laughed once. I almost hated her for it. But more than anything, I hated how much I missed her, even now. Even knowing what I knew. I confronted her the next evening. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I simply placed my phone on the kitchen table, screen facing up, the message from Calvin clearly visible. It was one of the more suggestive ones. No ambiguity. Just two adults, making plans they shouldn't. Becca stared at it for a long time. Then she sat down. "Do you want to talk about it?" I asked, my voice calm, detached. "I was going to end it," she said, not looking at me. "I swear. I didn't mean for it to go this far." I nodded. "Did you love him?" She flinched. "No. He made me feel seen. Like I mattered again. It started so small. Just jokes. Coffee. Then one day, we kissed in the break room and everything snowballed." "Was it just once?" "No," she whispered. "It wasn't physical every time. But yeah. More than once." We sat in silence, the weight of everything we didn't say filling the space between us. "You know what hurts most?" I said finally. "It's not the cheating. It's that you made me feel crazy for suspecting it. Like I was just paranoid. Like I didn't know my own wife." "I didn't want to lose you," she said, voice breaking. "You already had," I said quietly. She cried then. Not loudly. Not theatrically. Just silent tears tracing down her face as she stared at the floor. I didn't touch her. I didn't comfort her. 2 days later, I moved into a friend's spare bedroom. I filed the divorce papers the following week. She didn't contest them. But closure doesn't come with signatures. There were nights when I missed her so badly it felt like a weight pressing on my lungs. I missed the small things, her humming while cooking, her cold feet against my legs under the blanket, the way she'd always steal the last bite of my dessert. Memories became landmines. It was hardest during tax season. The irony wasn't lost on me. I heard through mutual acquaintances that Calvin had transferred to another office. Becca never mentioned him again. We communicated only through legal channels for a while, and eventually through email when it came to splitting up the house, the savings, the dog. She kept the house. I took the dog. Maybe it wasn't fair. But life rarely is. About a year after the divorce, I ran into her at a bookstore. She looked older. Tired. But still had that same effortless grace that first drew me to her years ago. "Hi," she said. "Hi." We stood in the aisle between autobiographies and travel guides. For a moment, it felt like we were back in that liminal space between who we were and who we became. "I'm sorry," she said. "I know," I replied. She nodded, biting her lip like she wanted to say more. But she didn't. And maybe that was for the best. I left without buying anything. I still believe in love. Maybe foolishly. Maybe stubbornly. But I do. Cheating doesn't erase the good years. It doesn't mean she never loved me. It just means that somewhere along the way, something broke. And neither of us were brave enough to name it. Now, I live in a smaller apartment. I've repainted the walls, bought furniture that's mine and mine alone. I spend weekends hiking, reading, reconnecting with old friends. It's quiet, but peaceful. Healing is not a straight line. It's jagged. There are days when I wake up angry, and others when I wake up grateful that I got out before we became strangers who pretended to love each other. But I'm getting there. One step at a time.